In every church, there's always that one person who feels like the heart of it all. The one who makes you believe in kindness, in goodness, in God's love. For this congregation, that person was Sister Beatrice, Mummy B. To everyone, Mummy B was more than just a church member. She was a mother, a mentor, an angel sent from heaven. Sometimes, the most dangerous secrets are hidden in plain sight, wrapped in smiles and good deeds. And Mummy B's story will leave you questioning everything you believe. This is the story of trust, betrayal, and the darkness that hides in the light. Are you ready to uncover the truth about Mummy B? The church was peaceful that Saturday evening, with only the soft hum of the youth choir rehearsing for Sunday service filling the air. Their melodies added a holy stillness to the night. Among the most beloved members of the congregation was Sister Beatrice, affectionately called Mummy B. Her devotion to the church was unmatched. Mummy B was always the first to arrive, broom in hand, sweeping the church compound. She arranged the chairs, ensuring everything was neat, and decorated the altar with fresh flowers she bought herself. If the pastor needed anything, Mummy B was always the first to help. Her absence in church was rare, and when it happened, everyone noticed. "Where is Mummy B today?" They would ask with concern. To the congregation, she was like an angel sent by God. Every testimony service, she would rise with a radiant smile, her voice filled with gratitude as she shared how God had blessed her. "Praise the Lord," she would shout, her words inspiring others. She was known for her generosity, often buying gifts for church members, supporting widows, and giving more than anyone during offerings. Mummy B is truly a woman of God, people would say, nodding in admiration. But Mummy B's charm was her greatest weapon. She had a way of making everyone feel safe, especially the young girls. After services, she would encourage them with soft words or hand out snacks she brought from home. Parents trusted her without question, and teenagers saw her as a mentor, often calling her a second mother. Yet, behind her kind words and selfless deeds lay a darkness no one could have imagined. Mummy B's perfect image was a mask, carefully crafted to hide the truth. Beneath her generous acts was a woman using the church to cover her evil deeds. If the congregation ever uncovered the truth, their faith in her, and in all she stood for, would be shattered forever. Among the girls who adored Mummy B were Mercy and Faith, two teenagers with dreams as big as the sky. Faith, the pastor's daughter and a talented hairstylist, worked tirelessly to support her family. Mercy, on the other hand, served as a secretary at the church, earning a modest salary. Life wasn't easy for them, but they found strength in their friendship and unwavering faith in God. Mummy B had her eyes on them from the start. She knew exactly how to gain their trust and draw them closer. One Sunday after service, Mummy B approached Mercy and Faith with her usual warm smile. She praised Faith's hairstyling skills, calling her gifted by God, and commended Mercy's dedication to her church duties. Then, leaning in as if she was about to share something life-changing, Mummy B lowered her voice. "You girls are so hardworking, but you're not earning what you deserve," she said, shaking her head sympathetically. "God has blessed me with opportunities, and I want to help you both make real money." The girls exchanged curious glances. Mummy B continued, her voice soft and persuasive. "I know someone who can help you earn 100,000 Nigerian nairas a month. Just imagine what you could do with that kind of money. Help your families, save for your future. It's a blessing you shouldn't miss." Then her tone shifted slightly, becoming secretive. "But don't tell anyone," she added quickly. "This opportunity is rare, and some people might try to discourage you. Trust me, I only want the best for you." Her words were soothing, her smile full of reassurance. Mercy and Faith felt no reason to doubt her. After all, this was Mummy B, kind, generous, and adored by everyone. Why would she lead them astray? A week later, Mummy B told Mercy and Faith to meet her at a spot near the church. She told Faith that a friend needed her hair done and promised to take her to the friend's house. The girls trusted her, so they followed her without hesitation. What seemed like a simple errand soon turned into something much stranger. Instead of taking them to her friend's house, Mummy B led them on a long journey to a nearby state. The ride felt strange, but the girls didn't question her. After all, she was like a mother to them, and they trusted her completely. When they arrived at a hospital, the girls were led into a small room. Waiting there was a man in a white coat who introduced himself as Dr. Dave. The unfamiliar surroundings made the girls uneasy. "Mummy B, where are we? What are we doing here?" Faith asked, her voice shaking. "Don't worry, my daughters," Mummy B replied with a calm smile. "This is the life-changing opportunity I told you about. Trust me, after this, you'll make enough money to take care of your families." Before they could ask more questions, Dr. Dave injected both girls with something. Their bodies grew heavy, their minds foggy. They tried to stay awake, but the drugs quickly overpowered them. When they woke up hours later, they felt weak and disoriented. Their bodies ached, and an unexplainable fear gripped their hearts. "Mummy B, what's happening to us?" Mercy whispered, her voice trembling. "You're fine, my daughters," Mummy B said reassuringly. "This is all part of the process. Just rest, and soon you'll see how blessed you are." Over the next few days, the girls began complaining of sharp stomach pains. Mummy B gave them injections, saying they should use them to ease the pain. "Trust me," she said. "This will make you feel better." But the pain didn't go away. Instead, it worsened. And as the days went by, the girls started to realize something wasn't right. The woman they trusted had led them into a nightmare they couldn't yet fully understand. Over the next few days, the pain worsened, and Mercy and Faith grew more fearful. They wanted to speak up, to tell someone about what was happening to them, but every time they thought about it, Mummy B's chilling words echoed in their minds. "If you dare tell anyone," she had warned, her once kind voice cold and sharp, "you'll regret it for the rest of your lives. No one will believe you, and you'll lose everything." The threat hung over them like a dark cloud. Mummy B had always been seen as a saint in the church. Who would believe them over her? The thought of being blamed or shamed kept them silent. "We can't tell anyone," Faith whispered one night, tears streaming down her face. "What if she really does something to us?" Mercy nodded, her own fear matching her friends. "What if they say we're lying?" Everyone loves her. The fear and confusion paralyzed them. They were trapped, their pain growing each day, but the weight of Mummy B's threat kept them quiet. The woman they had trusted like a mother had turned into their worst nightmare, and they had no idea how to escape. A week later, Mummy B approached Mercy and Faith again, her voice full of concern. "My daughters, I can see how much pain you're in," she said soothingly. "I've arranged for you to see another doctor in another hospital. He'll take care of the stomach pain you've been experiencing. Trust me, everything will be fine." Desperate for relief and still fearful of disobeying her, the girls reluctantly agreed. Mummy B took them to a hospital. The building looked professional and the staff seemed kind, but the girls couldn't shake the unease in their hearts. Once they were inside, the girls were led to separate rooms. Mummy B reassured them, as usual. "Just relax and do what the doctors say. This is the final step to making you feel better." Before they could ask questions, they were given sedatives and drifted into a deep sleep. When they woke up, hours had passed. Mercy felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen and noticed blood on her hospital gown. She gasped, her hands trembling as she touched her stomach. Next to her, Faith was crying softly, her body too weak to sit up. "Mercy," Faith whispered, her voice barely audible. "What happened to us?" "I don't know," Mercy replied, her voice shaking. "But something feels wrong. So wrong." They had no idea what had been done to them, but their bodies felt violated. Unknown to them, their eggs had been harvested without their knowledge or consent. The betrayal they felt was overwhelming. The woman they had trusted, the woman they had called a mother figure, had taken advantage of their trust in the most unimaginable way. Weeks later, Faith began to experience severe complications. She bled heavily and often felt dizzy. Her younger siblings noticed she was always in pain, frequently locking herself in the bathroom. One fateful day, she collapsed at home, unable to move. Her father, Bishop James, rushed her to the hospital. As a single father, he had been struggling to balance taking care of his children and overseeing the church since his wife passed away 2 years ago. Faith had been hiding her pain, and Bishop James hadn't realized how much she was suffering. At the hospital, the tests revealed shocking results. Faith's organs were severely damaged. Her liver, kidneys, spleen, and uterus had all been affected. The doctors also discovered that 46 of her eggs had been harvested without her consent. Bishop James was horrified. How could this happen? Who did this to my daughter? He demanded, his voice filled with anguish. When Mummy B heard that Faith was gravely ill, she came to visit Bishop James, pretending to be concerned. "Pastor," she said, her voice soft and full of false sympathy, "don't take her to just any hospital. I know a specialist clinic in Abeokuta. They can handle this kind of situation. Please let me help." Desperate to save his daughter, Bishop James reluctantly agreed. At the clinic, the doctors drained fluid from Faith's swollen stomach and worked to stabilize her condition. But Faith was terrified of Mummy B. She refused to speak in her presence, her fear evident in her eyes. After being discharged, Faith finally found the courage to tell her father everything. Through tears, she explained how Mummy B had deceived her and Mercy, taking them to different hospitals where their eggs were harvested without their knowledge. She also revealed that Mercy had gone through the same ordeal, but was too scared to speak up. Bishop James listened in stunned silence, his heart breaking with every word his daughter said. Faith's confession shattered the image of Mummy B, revealing the darkness behind her seemingly kind and generous persona. It was a betrayal no one in the church could have ever imagined. Heartbroken and furious, Bishop James reported the matter to the police immediately. But when the officers went to arrest Mummy B, they found her home abandoned. She had packed up everything and disappeared, leaving no trace behind. The search for Mummy B became a fight for justice, not just for Faith and Mercy, but for others who might have fallen victim to her evil schemes. Bishop James was determined to see her face the law. He worked closely with the police, providing every detail his daughter had shared and urging them to act quickly. When the news broke, it shook the entire community. At first, many church members refused to believe it. Mummy B? The woman we trusted? The one who served with such devotion? It can't be true, they said, struggling to process the betrayal. But the evidence was overwhelming. Faith's medical records, the hospital visits, and her brave confession painted a devastating picture of deceit and cruelty. Slowly, the congregation began to accept the truth. Shock turned into anger, and their admiration for Mummy B turned into disbelief. One Sunday, Bishop James addressed the congregation with tears in his eyes. "My brothers and sisters," he said, his voice trembling, "we must learn a lesson from this painful experience. Evil often hides where we least expect it, in places that should be safe. It disguises itself as goodness, even using the church to gain trust. We must always be vigilant." He paused, his voice growing firmer. "Do not let blind trust cloud your judgment. Test every spirit. Evil doesn't always come with horns. Sometimes it wears a kind face." Meanwhile, the police intensified their search for Mummy B, determined to bring her to justice. For Faith and Mercy, the road to recovery was long, but they drew strength from each other and the support of their church family. Though scarred, they found hope in the promise of a future where no one else would suffer as they had. As the investigation went on, even more shocking truths about Mummy B were uncovered. Her real name wasn't Beatrice, as she had told everyone. She had been living under different fake names for years, moving from one state to another, deceiving unsuspecting communities. The police soon discovered that her true job wasn't being a devoted church member, as everyone believed. Instead, she was a key player in a dangerous scheme involving organ and egg trafficking. Mummy B's plan was well thought out and carefully executed. She would move to places with many young girls, join the local church, and quickly win over the trust of the community. She acted the part of a kind, generous, and devoted woman so perfectly that no one ever suspected her true intentions. Whether she was sweeping the church floors, buying gifts for members, or offering financial help, Mummy B seemed to be the ideal churchgoer, loved by everyone. People even called her a mother to all. But this image was nothing more than a disguise. Once she had gained people's trust, she would carefully choose her targets, mostly young, impressionable teenage girls, vulnerable girls who were easy to manipulate. Mummy B used promises of a better life, money, and opportunities like education to lure them in, making them believe she was helping them. Her kindness wasn't real. It was all part of her plan to exploit and hurt those who trusted her the most. The investigation further uncovered that she worked closely with several doctors and fertility clinics across Nigeria. Among them were Dr. Dave, a well-known doctor, and other doctors and hospitals in Lagos. Together, they ran a dangerous operation, preying on vulnerable young teenager girls like Faith and Mercy. They promised these girls better lives, but in reality, they were exploiting them for profit. The full extent of the operation shocked the entire country, as many lives had been destroyed by this hidden crime. Over the years, Mummy B had trafficked dozens of girls, leaving many with lasting health complications. Despite accumulating great wealth from her crimes, she never shared a single naira with the girls she exploited. Instead, she used the money to fund a lavish lifestyle, living in luxury while others suffered. The police, in their investigation, uncovered multiple properties registered under her name. These included expensive houses in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt, purchased with the blood money she made from her illegal activities. The stark contrast between her wealth and the pain she caused highlighted the depth of her deception and cruelty. As the investigation into Mummy B's criminal activities grew stronger, the police intensified their search. They used every lead they had, tracking down her hidden properties and questioning people who had been close to her. It took several months, but the authorities were determined to bring her to justice. One morning, the police received a tip-off from an informant who had previously worked with Mummy B. The informant, who had witnessed the shady operations firsthand, provided crucial information about her whereabouts. The tip led the police to a luxurious mansion on the outskirts of Port Harcourt, where Mummy B had been hiding, constantly changing her identity to avoid being caught. The police swiftly organized a raid. They surrounded the mansion, cut off all escape routes, and entered the compound. Inside, they found Mummy B trying to flee through the back door, her face full of panic. But it was too late. The officers apprehended her without any resistance. Mummy B was arrested and handcuffed. She was taken to a police station, where she was interrogated. During her interrogation, Mummy B remained cold and unrepentant. She admitted to her role in the syndicate but claimed she was simply a middleman working for bigger players. However, the evidence against her was damning. Financial records showed large transactions between her and the clinics, and her travel history revealed a pattern of moving to new locations every few years, each time targeting a new group of unsuspecting victims. The doctors, particularly Dr. Dave, also faced severe scrutiny. It turned out they had been working with Mummy B for nearly a decade, performing illegal procedures and harvesting organs and eggs from victims without their consent. The scale of the operation shocked even the police. The court case against Mummy B and her accomplices captured the attention of the entire country. As the trial unfolded, dozens of victims bravely stepped forward, sharing their heartbreaking stories. They spoke of being lured in by promises of a better life, only to find themselves drugged, manipulated, and left with permanent physical and emotional scars. Among the most powerful testimonies were those of Faith and Mercy, whose words brought the horrors they endured into sharp focus. They spoke of the deep betrayal they felt from someone they had trusted like a mother, Mummy B, who had preyed on their dreams and used them for her own gain. Mummy B's lawyers attempted to argue that she was a victim of circumstance, claiming that she was just following orders from others in the syndicate. However, the evidence against her was irrefutable. The financial records, the victims' testimonies, and the connections between Mummy B and the doctors were too clear to deny. The judge condemned her actions. The judge's words echoed in the courtroom. "You preyed on the vulnerable, violated their bodies, and shattered their lives for your own selfish gain. You are guilty of unimaginable betrayal." In the end, Mummy B and the doctors who worked with her were sentenced to life in prison for human trafficking, organ harvesting, and conspiracy. Their properties, including the homes and luxury assets they had acquired through their illegal activities, were confiscated. The proceeds from the sale of these properties were directed to a special fund set up to support the victims and help them recover from the trauma they had endured. For Faith, Mercy, and the other survivors, justice was finally served. The road to healing would be long, but they no longer had to carry the weight of the past alone. The Sunday after Mummy B and her accomplices were sent to prison, Pastor James stood before his congregation, his heart heavy but determined. He vowed to take action to ensure that nothing like this ever happened again in his church. The pain of what had happened to Faith and Mercy weighed heavily on him, and he knew that the church needed to be more vigilant. He organized awareness programs in the church and the community, urging parents to be cautious and educating young girls about the dangers of blindly trusting people, even those who seemed the holiest. Do not trust anyone just because they seem kind, Pastor James preached. Not even the one who prays the loudest, speaks in tongues the most, or is always the first to arrive at church. The devil can disguise himself in many forms, even in the place where you feel safest. He worked alongside other church leaders to create a more rigorous vetting process for anyone in positions of influence. No one would be allowed to manipulate the trust of the congregation again. As Pastor James continued his sermon, he said that the painful story of Mummy be served as a warning to all. This is a wake-up call, he said. We must be more cautious. Evil can hide in plain sight, even in places of worship. We must protect our children, our community, and our faith. The story of Mummy B shook the entire nation, reminding people that trust could be easily exploited, even in the most sacred places. In the wake of the tragedy, churches across the country began taking steps to protect their members, particularly young girls. They implemented stricter measures to screen leaders and volunteers and provided programs to educate their congregations about the dangers of manipulation. For Faith and Mercy, the scars from their ordeal would never fully fade, but they found comfort in knowing that justice had been served. They became passionate advocates for young girls, sharing their story to help others avoid the same fate. They spoke out about the dangers of predatory behavior and worked tirelessly to raise awareness in schools and churches. Though they had found strength in their journey, there was one haunting question that lingered in their minds. How many others like Mummy B were still out there, hiding behind masks of kindness and trust, waiting for their next victim? The moral lesson of this story is that blind trust, even in trusted places like churches, can lead to harm. It teaches that people, no matter how kind, spiritual, or influential they may seem, should not be trusted without caution. We must be vigilant and discerning, especially when it comes to those in positions of power, as not everyone has good intentions. Trust should be earned through consistent integrity, not just outward appearances or religious roles. This story highlights the importance of protecting oneself and others, particularly the vulnerable, from exploitation and deceit. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to my channel for more captivating stories.